Chapter 6. Mark was becoming wobbly, his body screaming for air. She knew if he went down, the problem and danger would be serious and hard to come back from. 5 years of St. John's ambulance and Girl Guide's first aid kicked in, and Sian went behind him and straight into the Heimlich manoeuvre. Mark was a big guy, and Sian gave it her all in 3 thrusts. Finally, Mark coughed and spat something out. He sat down, taking deep breaths, the colour slowly returning to his face. By now, the waiting staff had come running over with concern and horror. Mark drank some offered water, and Sian sat back down. Mark looked at her, and still coughing a little, he thanked her. She was about to reply when a very nervous-looking uniformed staff member came over. Sian looked him up and down. He must have been at least 20, but looked less than 12 years old. Sian felt for him. This could have been a lawsuit, losing your job, end of career, maybe even some jail time if he wasn't lucky. He stood next to Mark and spoke. "Sir, are you okay? I'm so sorry. Is there anything I can do to help you?" Mark, now breathing more easily and starting to regain the power of his speech, with a few light coughs, spoke to the man. "Have a seat. You look like you need it more than I do." Sian watched him sit, waiting for his fate. Shame there was a smoking ban. He looked like he needed a cigarette and a blindfold. Sian wanted to shout out to him, "Don't worry, he's going to Jedi you and make you feel better." Mark did not disappoint, looking at his name badge. "Look, Liam, don't worry. I'm not going to sue or make a complaint. My old gran always told me not to speak with my mouth full, so no worries. Relax. But I can murder a cold lager and would love to order the Manhattan chicken. And if you could take the lady's order as well, that would be great. And we'll call it quits. How does that sound?" "Sir, you have no idea what this." Sian could see Liam visibly shaking with relief. Mark placed a hand on his back. "It's okay, Liam. Relax. But—" he motioned towards Sian. She got her. "Oh, the same, please." Liam wrote down the order and pointed at the bar. "Just order whatever you want tonight. Compliments of the Highwayman's Rest." "Thanks, Liam." They both watched him leave. Sian shook her head. Mark asked, "What is it?" with a puzzled look on his face. "You are incredible. That was so nice of you. You could have eaten out on that." "We are," Mark winked. "Ha ha, you know what I mean. You could have had thousands out of the Highwayman's Rest. They have deep pockets and probably wouldn't even go to court. They'd pay you off to shut you up." "Yes, I could, but what about Liam? And the poor minimum wage worker back there? Probably a kid who overcooked the prawns in batter. He would be in a world of hurt." "They didn't mean to try and kill me. It was an accident, and more so important to me is they apologized. Trying to make it right is just a bonus to me." "That's very big of you." "It's just me. There's what you can call, in simple terms, karma, but even if you don't believe in karma or anything like it, it's good for society. I don't take out to the system, and more so, if there are now 2 more people out there that do similar for others in the future, those will do the same for 2 more, and so on. It only takes 1 match to turn a forest to ash, but it only takes an acorn to grow a forest. But the sad nature of things is that a match can destroy a forest faster than an acorn can build, so we need more acorns." "Wow, you should write self-help books. Funny you should say that." Liam returned with a bottle of white wine and 2 glasses on a tray. "Sir, this is on me, and again, thank you." Mark looked to the bottle and read. "Oh, Liam, come on, this is too much, but I would love a house white." "No, sir, I insist. Anyway, it's open now. May I?" Mark gestured with his open hand at the table and smiled as Liam placed the glasses and poured the wine. Sian took a sip of the wine and did a "ooh, that's nice" face. Mark nodded in agreement and handed Sian the wine menu. "We're having number 24. Sian looked to the menu and looked up number 24. "Wow!" "I know. I hope the Highwayman's Rest is picking this up. It would cost poor Liam about half a week's wages." Mark shook his head, savouring the rich taste of the wine. Sian continued reading the wine menu. "Can you go up to the bar holding your breath and get us a number 16? That looks nice as well." Mark threw his head back in a full belly laugh. Sian looked at him in his rambunctious state, his eyes sparkling and alive. He was as close to the perfect man she'd ever known. The H word jumped into her mind. Her cautious side stirred and rose to the fore. "Careful, girl. He's supposed to be prefect-like. That's his job. Okay, I grant you, he is as good off the clock as he is on the clock. But there's a reason he's single." "Or is he?" She felt the softness of the loaned cardigan around her torso. The wine and her pre-meltdown drinks were now emboldening her. He may be husband material now, but what would he be like off the clock? Anyway, he's mine tonight. I wanted an adventure, and here I am in the middle of it. She took another sip of the wine, savouring the taste. Sian woke with a sour taste in her mouth as her eyes stuck from the morning light coming through the window. As her foggy brain started to boot up, she realised that she didn't know where she was. As more of her neurons started to come online, her memory supplied the answer she needed for her location. Taxing her sluggish brain to recall the events of the previous evening only found fragments. In her brain, her paranoia came back online. What happened to me? A terrifying thought struck her. Have I been violated? She looked down at her body. She was covered in a blanket, one she recognised from on top of the wardrobe earlier. Surprising what background details one can unknowingly take in when your senses are in a hyper level. She lifted the extra blanket and saw she was still fully clothed. She moved her hand between her legs. To her relief, her underwear was still on, and as she remembered it. She didn't feel sore, and placing her hand inside her underwear felt no foreign bodily fluids. The relief was indescribable. She then heard heavy breathing. Sian sat up, and oh, her head was banging. She looked around at the room. It was the same as the afternoon before. In a corner, she saw Mark sleeping in the same chair he'd sat on the day before, just after the outburst. His face was almost childlike in his sleeping state, and at peace. Her heart was torn between what she'd felt the day before and the gap in her memory. How did she get here? Mark's Jedi-like powers must have been on the early shift, and he opened his eyes and focused on her. Morning, Sian. How's your head? He asked. Oh, what? Oh, my head. I take it you're having the mother of all hangovers? Sian, putting 2 fingers to her temple and closing her eyes to the pain, nodded. Mark stood up, walking over to a side table. Here you go. He handed her a small paper bag. She opened it and found some headache tablets, a bottle of orange juice, water, and a small unlabelled bottle with a cork and green-coloured liquid inside. Sian looked up at Mark with a confused look. These'll help. The green liquid is let's call it a home remedy a friend makes for me, and it'll help stop the little man in your head with the hammer and anvil. Oh, and for the record, and to put your mind at ease, there's not another empty little bottle in the bin with roofie qualities. You, were doing a good job of that one yourself. Sian opened the orange juice. Her brain was now starting to process the memory fragments into a timeline order. Dancing on the table. Oh dear. Shots and more shots. Oh dear. Talking. Oh dear. Mark holding her up, trying to get her out of the bar. Oh dear. Holding her hair back as she threw up in that evergreen tree. Oh hell. Making a pass at him with sicky breath, telling her she loved him. Oh. Telling him to fuck her hard. Oh hell. You may want to drink the green liquid first. It doesn't taste great. The orange juice will help take the taste away. Sian nodded and drank the green liquid. He wasn't wrong. It had a bitter, earthy taste to it. Sian drank what she thought was orange juice, but its sweet taste confirmed what the label said. The liquid was some processed sweet and sugar orange flavoured drink. They had limited choice in the services of the petrol station. Sian now sipped the water and felt a little better. It may taste terrible, but whatever that green liquid was, it was fast acting. I'm so sorry about last night. It's a little foggy and I'm having trouble remembering, and what I do remember is cringeworthy. It's okay, you needed it, and oh hell, I've got to go! The green liquid washed out the sluggishness in her brain, and it was now firing on all cylinders. Then it supplied what she needed to know, and the full horror hit her. I have to go, I have so much to do, and oh hell, they must think I'm dead in a ditch and going spare. Sian ran around frantically, trying to find her shoes and bag. Whoa, hold your horses. It's all sorted, and besides, you will be well over the drink drive limit now if you get stopped. You're right, I need to ring a taxi. Wait, what do you mean it's all sorted? I rang Janet and told her you were staying over with a friend, and if she could get in a bit early and let your mother know. Janet owes me a favour, and she texted me to say it's all in hand. She rang Emma and left a voicemail asking if she could get in for a few hours later as well. I had a chat with Errol. He finishes in a few hours here and is happy to go over to Nantes Bale B&B and help out as long as needed. He has a few days off. Sian sat open-mouthed and just stared at Mark. Even her paranoid side was speechless. Careful, you'll catch flies like that. Mark smiled. Sian regained her senses and finally the power of speech. How do you know the... Nothing sinister, don't worry. You told me about Nantes Bale B&B. The name rang a bell, and I remembered Janet. She's an old friend of mine. And well, we are, let's say, in the same club. I also had a chat with Errol this morning, and he's happy for the work. Wait, work? I take it paid work? Sian reached for her bag. Hold on, Sian, this is my shout. You saved my life last night. I take it you remember that bit? Sian looked to Mark as he looked down at her. Just when she thought he couldn't get any better, he took it to another level. I'm surplus to requirements today, it seems. What do I do? Now I have a day off with nothing to do with myself. Mr. Wonderful here has fixed it all. Oh, I must owe you a small fortune. Mark laughed. People that save my life get a discount, and I am far from wonderful. I'm off the clock anyway. Oh, and you have 4 days off. Today, plus the next 3, with Nantes Bale being closed, the council digging up the lane and paying you loss of earnings compensation. You're right. I'd forgotten about that. Wow, I really am at a loose end. What are your plans for the day? Breakfast? Care to join me? I couldn't think of anything better. Well, in that case, my lady. Mark offered the crutch of his arm again, like the night before. 1 minute, I need to use the little girl's room and freshen up. Mark gestured to the bathroom and sat down to wait. Sian walked into the bathroom, thinking to herself how she was going to freshen up with one of those small bars of hotel soap. Sian sat on the toilet and started to relieve herself. She looked towards the bathroom to find a soap bar and saw a small bag like the one Mark had given her in the bedroom. Sian finished, stood and adjusted herself, and went to look at what was in the bag. She chuckled to herself. This man is something else. In the bag she found a small travel-sized toothpaste, brush, a hairbrush, a small can of deodorant and some moisturiser. As she was freshening up, she heard a phone ring. Not hers, so it must be Mark's. She heard him say hello. Sian finished and came back into the bedroom and heard him trying to get a word in edgeways, but someone was giving him hammer and tongues on the other end of the phone. Yes, if you let me. Ranting. Nothing has happened, she's fine. Ranting. I wouldn't blame you, and... Ranting. Of course you can, she's right here, 1 second. More tame voice. Mark handed his phone to Sian, with a bemused look on his face, next to Sian's dumbfounded one. It's Emma on the phone for you. She's worried about you and concerned that I've been doing unspeakable things. If it transpires that I have done these things to you, parts of my anatomy will be removed with non-surgical tools with methods they were not originally designed for. Mark handed her phone to Sian. She took a deep breath and mouthed an apology to him. Emma, hi hun. Rant. I'm fine, honest. I met an old friend and... Rant. Sian looked at Mark and crossed her fingers. Okay, I got lucky. I met someone. He's lovely, and I've been writing to him for a while, and well, he came and... Screaming speech. Mark motioned he was going to the bathroom to freshen up himself. Sian gave him a thumbs up. She turned back to her conversation with Emma. It went on for a while, Emma repeating over and over she was so shocked and she wanted full details and to meet this new mystery man. Emma told Sian she was not to worry, it was all in hand, and she should stay with Mr. Wonderful as long as he was in town. Errol had turned up. He was a great help, and she would not kick him out of bed either. Sian said her goodbyes to Emma and hung up. She sighed. If only what she told Emma was true. A few days with Mark would be wonderful. Mark came out the bathroom, wrapped in a towel, dripping from the quick shower he must have taken, and was drying his hair with another towel. Oh, that's better. Breakfast-wise, they have a great selection here. It's a self-service system, and there's even some real orange and apple juice. Great. Sian was in awe of the torso she was now looking at. The shirt she'd seen Mark in only showed a little of his contours, but it was well tailored, and covered most of his form. Now, bare, he put Michelangelo's David to shame. Mark moved over to a chest of drawers and started to go through it, looking for clothes. Michelangelo's David was a statue made of stone. This enigma in front of her was living flesh and dynamic. As Sian watched Mark look through the drawers, his muscles flexed under his skin in an almost dance. Emma had once taken Sian to a ladies' night in the Plough and Arrow. Those guys had been buff and moved well, but Mark just looking for a shirt was more stimulating to her. He found what he was looking for, and Sian was about to look away when Mark took off the towel and threw it over one of the chairs. If she thought she was going to look away now, it would be impossible even if she wanted to. She felt paralysed, like someone in one of those alien abduction TV shows Mum liked to watch. Like one of those abductees on TV, she was aware of everything, but unable to move. Transfixed, she could see his bum, pert. He had his rear to her now, starting to put on some underwear, a briefsman, as it turned out, and some shorts. Shy he was not. But then again, that was his job. Trying to justify herself as she was staring at him. Yes, in lust, she told herself, but he'd seen her naked form first. Sian knew that it was a weak argument, but she didn't care. Then it started to happen. She could see his muscles flexing as he turned to face her, a t-shirt in hand. She knew she should look elsewhere, but she was still paralyzed. He began to speak. It's going to be a beautiful day out there today, don't you think? Sian looked at him as he waited for an answer, but he must know she was still staring at him. He mustn't care. Or did it not appear on his radar? So what were they now? What was their relationship? Was it still provider and client, or more? Pull your neck in, Sian. He just feels obligated to you for saving his life last night. It dawned on her then that she'd not replied to his question. Yes, it looks like it's starting to warm up already. Mark put on the t-shirt and some sandals. Sian noticed no white socks. Well done, good man. Are you ready for the off? Yep, let's roll. Sian stood and picked up her bag, following Mark out to the room, into the lift and down to the lobby. I can only go to a place twice, the second time to apologise. Mark laughed, and she was treated again to the sparkle in his eyes. Sian felt forlorn. After this meal, they'd part ways and probably never see each other again. She wanted an adventure. She didn't have the one she wanted, but certainly did have a unique experience that she would not forget. How are you feeling now? Mark asked. Better, thanks. I have a little headache, but not too bad. You need the miracle hangover food. Sian was about to ask Mark what he meant as they re-entered the bar restaurant, now doing its day job as the breakfast hall, when she smelled bacon. The two looked at each other and in unison said, "Oh, yes." They went over to the food area, got themselves breakfast, and sat down to enjoy their, in Sian's resigned mind, last meal. She looked at Mark tucking into his breakfast and thought she'd punish herself for last night. I'm still foggy from last night, and I have big gaps in my memory. Would you like me to fill in the gaps for you? Mark asked. Sian nodded. Sugar-coated or warts and all? I'll regret it, but warts and all, please. You sure? Sian placed her fist in her mouth in a mock bite. Yes. Mark took a sip of his coffee and looked thoughtful for a few moments. Well, I had that chat with the Grim Reaper, you did your thing, and then we had a chat with the manager and our food came. We ate and chatted at first. We had a bottle of wine, and then another. We finished the food, then we went to the bar area, just over there. Mark pointed to a point a few tables away. Then we chatted a bit more, had a few more drinks, and, well... What? Well, a chat is a two-way street, and, well, it was a bit of a one-sided chat. Don't tell me, I just went on and on. I do when I drink. You said it, then you danced a bit, before they kicked us out. Oh, God. They managed to get you off the bar in the end, and you took your underwear off your head and put them back on where they belonged after I told you might get a chill when we go outside. Sian looked at Mark, horrified. Mark looked so stern. Then his face cracked into a smile. A sense of relief came over her. Git! It was nothing as bad as that. You just gave me your life story in great detail. The only bad thing was that you were ill on the way out. Oh, that plant pot just outside the door. I remember that. You held my hair back. What a gentleman you are. Thank you. Mark's head did a little bow. What did I tell you? Mark offered.